Again, we're saying to the thoughts from a real depth, I do not choose this thought today, right? This is a thought I do not want now, because this is not how I would experience myself any longer. And again, we're not just saying these words because Holy Spirit told us to. We have taken the time to get in touch with the part of ourself where this is just absolute truth. This is just a statement of absolute truth. I don't want this anymore, right? Holy Spirit continues, the content of these words is important because they do not deny the fact that the thought is in your mind because you once chose to experience the feelings the thought has to offer. This is important because in not denying this, you are recognizing yourself. And now, with the true recognition of yourself in your mind, you can choose again with confidence and assurance. And this will surely bring a smile of remembrance to your face. So he's really talking about, we have taken ourselves into the light, right? We've taken ourselves into the light. Some people call it awareness. Some people call it looking at it with Holy Spirit. But that symbol still seems to make it sound like somebody else is helping me. In reality, you've just found that place in you where you are Holy Spirit. And you're looking at it from that perspective now, instead of from the perspective of separation and fear and victim. That's why you have confidence and assurance. And you're certain that you don't want this anymore. You're fully in the light, speaking from the light. Holy Spirit continues, this way of choosing not to listen to the ego may seem difficult and tiresome at first, but these feelings of change will not last. This is only the transition of choosing again. It takes some seeming effort to take a grand and divine motion and turn it in an opposite direction. But this effort is not a battle or a war, so do not slip into believing it is. It is a divine choice and a thing of beauty. Respect your power as you push to turn your own motion in another direction. Be in awe of everything you are and everything you create. In this way you choose with love. And in choosing with love, you continue to push the force of motion in the direction you would have it go now. So you're not fighting against the ego. You are making a new choice. And the old choice, as strong as it may seem, comes from you and your power to choose, right? So you're not fighting with some enemy ego who's struggling against you. You are experiencing the awesome power of your own choice. But if the awesome power of your own choice could create this seeming frightening ego, that same awesome power of your own choice can release you from that, can give you a new perception, right? The perception of love, the perception of peace, the perception of joy. So he's really asking us to respect that this seemingly horrible ego that we thought we were victim of came from the awesome power of our choice. And now we're using the awesome power of our choice to choose again. You know, if you've ever played with a pendulum, you know that if you get the pendulum swinging left to right, left to right, left to right, especially if you're doing it with the mind. Have any of you moved a pendulum with the power of your mind, not your hand, right? Where you hold the pendulum and then with your mind you tell it to go left to right, left to right, left to right. If you've never done this, try it. It's actually quite cool. If you hold your hand still, but you just think in your mind that you want the pendulum to go left to right, left to right, left to right, it'll start moving back and forth. And then eventually it gets into this huge swing. And it's very easily moving left to right. Then if you decide now that you want it to stop and go front and back, that seems to take a bit of effort because the left to right is such an easy, natural motion now. So you have to put some thought into now, stop, now, stop. And you have to be very consistent with choosing that now, stop in your mind. But if you do, it begins to slow and then it stops. And then you can say now, back and forth, now, back and forth. And at first there's a bit of effort in the mind, a bit of consistency in the mind, but the pendulum begins to respond, and pretty soon it's swinging back and forth easily. Okay, so that's what's happening. The ego is like the pendulum swinging left to right. We gave it the energy to do that. We wanted those experiences, and it's swinging very easily and habitually left to right. And now we're in a process of choosing again. And it seems to take some consistency to keep choosing stop, 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 so that we can then tell it to go forward and backwards. But it's not fighting a devil, right? It's not fighting a devil. It's just choosing again. All right, Lord Blue, what do you have now? Question, it seems to me that this message called the ego divine imagination, divine motion. Any comments on this? Yeah, I suppose the comments are that Spirit is really trying to impress upon us that everything comes from us. The language the Course would use is dreamer of the dream. And the word imagination, of course, implies not real, right? But Spirit wants to impress upon us that it comes from us. It's not, again, it's not a devil. So many people, especially people with really fearful egos, although they hear the ego's not real, they hear it's not the devil, the truth is they struggle with it as if it is, as if it's some power outside of them yet in them, right? They have to fight something, and that is not helpful. So what Spirit is trying to impress upon us is that we are this awesome power. That's what the divine represents. We are this awesome power, and we chose this experience, and this seemingly horrible ego is merely evidence of what we can choose. But the good news in that is if we can choose this, we can also choose to let it go, right? So it's a matter of learning to respect our awesome power and to work within that awesome power without fearing it, without fighting it, without thinking that we're victim. So, that, and I think that's why those words were chosen, to help us see that way instead of thinking that we're victim. And that's the end of that particular message. So what I'm going to do is bounce ahead several messages, because like I told you, I only had a couple of messages all summer, so I'm going to have to do a lot of clicking.